So in the previous class, I talked about the kind of tsunami which was rapidly approaching towards the coastal village. Everybody from the village who looked at this kind of monstrous wave, everybody was shocked, including Hamaguchi, because none of them has ever experienced this kind of thing in life. If you remember, I talked about the climax of the story when the monstrous wave was rapidly approaching towards the coastal area. Hamaguchi very quickly realized that this is not really the common development or normal development. Nature is going to be very much adverse in a very short period of time, and until and unless they quickly act upon, they will not be able to even save their lives. So Hamaguchi requested his grandson to give him a torch, and immediately, without a second thought in mind, Hamaguchi started setting the stacks of rice one after the other. He did not even thought that he is going to lose everything, whatever investment he made. He did not think of it at all, and he started setting fire to one after the other till end. The grandson continued to look at Hamaguchi and his unexpected action. The small child of 10 could not really realize it, that why his grandfather is behaving like that or doing like that. He did not anticipate the possible threat, but Hamaguchi has realized that he did not have any time to send an individual to pass on the message of the expected danger to the villages and to call them to the hilltop. It was also not possible to him to send a message to the monk of the shrine so that he would ring the bell and the people will get the message and move towards. And that's why Hamaguchi decided to act upon accordingly, and he set his paddy, or the raw rice we can say, on fire. As soon as the people of the village looked at the massive fire there near the house of Hamaguchi, everybody immediately turned towards Hamaguchi's home, and they wanted to find out what actually happened. The people were unaware of the unexpected natural disaster which was rapidly approaching towards their coastal area. The people were simply looking at the burning rice and they were simply talking among themselves. Now you see here, I'll just read out a passage from the text so that you will understand better. I stopped at this particular point in the previous class when the small child was simply crying and saying, Ojisan, Ojisan, why Ojisan? Why? Because the grandfather, that is Hamaguchi, already set the raw rice on fire and this small child was questioning him. But Hamaguchi did not answer. He had no time to explain. He was thinking only of the 400 lives in peril. For a while, the child stared widely at the blazing rice, then burst into tears and ran back to the house, feeling sure that his grandfather has gone mad. Hamaguchi went on filing stack after stack till he had reached the limit of his field. Then he threw down his torch and waited. The acolyte of the hill temple, observing the blaze, set the big bell booming, and the people responded to the double appeal. Hamaguchi watched them hurrying in from the sands and over the beach and up from the village like a swarming of ants, and to his anxious eyes scarcely faster, for the moments seemed terribly long to him. The sun was going down, the wrinkled bed of the bay and a vast, sallow, speckled expanse beyond it lay naked to the last orange glow, and still the sea was fleeing towards the horizon. Now you have understood the kind of action which was going on there. The small child could not even understand that why his grandfather was behaving like that and setting the stacks of rice on fire. He started crying, and with tears in his eyes, he went inside the house with an assumption. Probably his grandfather, that is Hamaguchi, had gone mad, and that's why he was setting everything on fire. But this particular action was noticed by the acolyte of the hill temple, and after observing the blaze, the acolyte also started booming the big bell, and immediately the people of the village, all 400 people of the village, realized that this was an alarming situation. They should immediately act upon, and they started moving towards the hilltop where Hamaguchi and his residence was. As soon as they came over there, very quickly Hamaguchi realized that his attempt of doing this action was successful, because the people got double alarm, one from the side of Hamaguchi when he set everything on fire, and the other when the acolyte of the temple started ringing the bell and passing on the message to the villagers that they need to rush towards the hilltop because there is some possible threat to their life. At the same time, when the people realized the importance of the situation and all of them tried to inquire the thing, and when it was pointed out by Hamaguchi that instead of looking at the fire, better you look at the horizon of the sea, there you find the real threat. And all these people started looking at that particular area or the horizon of the sea, and then they realized what is going to happen in the next moment, because a monstrous wave was rapidly approaching towards the coastal area, and it was of course bringing along with it a kind of destruction, a massive destruction which will take place in the region. Really, however, Hamaguchi did not have very long to wait before the first party of succor arrived, a score of agile young peasants who wanted to attack the fire at once, but the Choza, holding out both arms, stopped them. Very quickly, the first group came up to the top of the hill. Of course, the youngsters of the village, the very young peasants, they came over there on the top and they started attacking the fire, but this old man stopped them and asked them not to do so, because he has intentionally set the fire to his paddy, and of course he was intended to pass on the message to you all. Now you see what he says. Let it burn, lads, he commanded. Let it be. I want the whole Mura here. There is a great danger. Thaenda. See now. Hamaguchi says, let it burn as it is. Don't try to stop it. Don't do anything at all. I want the people of this village, everybody else, whether a small child or an age-old person, I want everybody here on the top, because there is a great danger to our life. Ahenda, the whole village was coming, and Hamaguchi counted. All the young men and boys were soon on the spot, and not a few of the more active women and girls. Then came most of the older folk and mothers with babies at their backs, and even children, for children could help to pass water, and elders too feeble to keep up with the first rush could be seen well on their way up the steep ascent. The growing multitude, still knowing nothing, looked alternately in sorrowful wonder at the flaming fields and at the impassive face of their Choza, and the sun went down. So in a very short period of time, the people responded. In the beginning, all youngsters came. Then the active women and girls came, followed by the older folk and the mothers with their children. So almost everybody now came onto the top. That was an indication and a kind of satisfaction to Hamaguchi also, that his endeavor was successful and he could get all the people of the village, almost everybody, on the top and the safe side. Up till now, the people did not recognize what was really happening. There was only a simple word uttered by Choza, that is Hamaguchi, that there is a danger to their life, nothing beyond that. Grandfather is mad. I am afraid of him, sobbed Tada. In answer to a number of questions, he is mad. He set fire to the rice on purpose. I saw him do it. As for the rice, cried Hamaguchi, the child tells the truth. I set fire to the rice. Are all the people here? Now you see, the small child who is just at the age of 10, named Tada, he is in a different assumption, and he is saying that my grandfather has gone mad. He is afraid of his grandfather now because my grandfather himself set fire to the rice on purpose for no reason, and he himself has seen his grandfather doing so. Then Hamaguchi replied, whatever this small lad or child is saying is all right, that is the truth, and I myself set the rice on fire. But I want to know whether all the people of the village have come onto the hilltop or not. The Kumichou and the heads of families looked about them and down the hill and made reply, all are here, or very soon will be. We cannot understand this thing. Kita, shouted the old man at the top of his voice, pointing to the open. Say now, if I be mad. Then the people of the village looked at one another. Most of the heads of the families found out whether the members of their family are very much there on the hilltop or not, and then they started responding that yes, Hamaguchi, that almost everybody has turned up here, and those who are yet to, they are very near to now. Very shortly they will reach out here, so no need to worry. Then Hamaguchi pointed out towards the horizon, and then he said, look at that. See now what is going to happen in a very short period of time. Do you think that I have gone mad? Through the twilight eastward, all looked and saw at the edge of the dusky horizon a long, lean, dim line like the shadowing of a coast where no coast ever was, a line that thickened as they gazed, that broadened as a coastline broadens to the eyes of one approaching it, yet incomparably more quickly, for that long darkness was the returning sea, towering like a cliff and coursing more swiftly than the kite flies. See the beautiful description that of the expected danger is done by the author. This is the description of the approaching very high wave. No one might have ever experienced it or witnessed it. It was almost the twilight time. Twilight means neither the daylight nor the dark night. It is somewhere in between. And people started staring towards the east, especially the dusky horizon, and they saw a long, lean, dim line like the shadowing of a coast. In fact, there was no coast at all, a line that thickened as they gazed, that broadened as a coastline broadens to the eyes of one approaching it. And when all these people, all 400 people, looked at that approaching tsunami, they started shrieking. Tsunami! Shrieked the people. And then all shrieks and all sounds and all power to hear sounds like annihilated by a nameless shock, heavier than any thunder, as the colossal swell smote the shore with a weight that sent a shudder through the hills, and with a foam burst like a blaze of sheet lighting. Then for an instant nothing was visible but a storm of spray rushing up to the slope like a cloud, and the people scattered back in panic from the mere menace of it. When they looked again, they saw a white horror of sea raving over the place of their homes. It drew back roaring and tearing out the bowels of the land as it went, twice, thrice, 5 times. The sea struck and ebbed, but each time with lesser surges. Then it returned to its ancient bed and stayed still, raging as after a typhoon. See, that was really a very terrifying and horrible experience to the people of this village. That was a massive wave of tsunami. None of them has ever witnessed such kind of massive, monstrous tsunami in their life. As soon as the people looked at that, they started shrieking, they started crying, children started weeping, and that entire scenario was a total annihilation of the system, because the people have identified it now that this natural disaster is going to bring a colossal wreck in their life, and in a very short period of time that happened. The massive wave ran into the coastal area. Everything was totally submerged by sea water, and their houses, their huts, their fields, and whatever that they had in their possession, everything was submerged now, or it was totally underwater now. And that was a colossal wreck that the people of the village experienced. These people did not have any other option in front of them to simply look at that and how this is going to destroy everything that they have collected and gathered in the course of their life. So this is the situation which is described here by the author, and due to the time limits I will not be able to go ahead. I'll just put a pause here, and maybe in the next class, that is tomorrow, I'll be able to conclude this lesson titled as The Living God, written by Koizumi Yakumo.